I love your background. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
thanks. The peacock feathers. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if I wanted to ask something, but then I think his name was James who just spoke to you. And when you spoke about how there's a lot of stuff, when you spoke about how it doesn't really, like, it's nice for the person to have these things, like it's cool, like the person, and it's something that becomes very prevalent when you start realizing that, oh, and you can't get rid of it. I'm sure if you could confirm, like there's a me that wants to be enlightened.
Yeah.
Right. Wants to wake up. But at the same time, I can't ignore that. I don't want to just walk away from that and be like, oh, that's just a me. That's silly. That's useless. So I don't have to do anything about it. Like, because it feels like there's a contradicting energy there. Like, where can I put my focus then? Or is there nothing? Because there's always this thing of, oh, there's nothing you can do. But what you did say that's resonated with me from other speakers as well is the idea of you could close off your. It feels like there's the body and the conditioning and everything that kind of closes off, in a manner of speaking, the consciousness to shine through.
Yeah.
And is there things you can actively, like? And I've never. And the reason I'm asking this is because I've never liked the idea of shutting down addictions or pleasing behaviors or what's the word, distractive behaviors, things that distract you from the now or whatever. But is that something that you would recommend someone to do? And at the same time, I think the question and the same thing is, what if I don't do it for the body? Is there a part of me that I can sense that wants to be enlightened, that I'm doing it for? Because it feels like I'm fighting for the ego. And like, where's the part that's wanting to be enlightened, and how do I know that I'm siding with that part?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so like there is wisdom that we can use on the human level from many people that have come before us that say, you know, this is wise thing to do for the body, this is healthy to do for the body. And so there's many programs which can help with any addictions or behavioral issues or anything like this. There's so many different things out there. And when that happens, then it can be a relief for the body. It can, not always if it's an addiction being shut off, that can be very painful, but if you do more healthy things, it can be nice for the body. And that's not wrong, that's beautiful to do, but it's not going to get you any closer to this moment ever. So you can have addiction, you can have difficult dynamic, and you can be totally free, because this moment right now, so anybody that's sat there with addiction, I assume that all of us have addiction because we're living in a society with all these like with sugar, with coffee, with caffeine, with computers, you know, I'm sure everybody has forms of addiction. And then so it like a scale, and then it gets worse in some people. But it's not affected. So the space isn't affected. So the room isn't affected. The walls aren't affected. The looking isn't affected. Like addiction doesn't affect it. It's just what seems to happen when we have addiction and we have a big aversion to that addiction, that there is a shrinking, this contraction, and there is a focusing on yourself, and that is the discomfort. So right now, your essence, the consciousness which I'm truly speaking to, so I'm not speaking to characters, I'm speaking to the consciousness, is everywhere, is totally expanded and totally free. It always is, no matter what is happening. But the person feels uncomfortable in that, because it always feels uncomfortable when you're not home. And then again, it's a spectrum of how uncomfortable it feels. The more uncomfortable it feels, the more contracted it will feel, the more small you will feel, the more happy you feel, the more spacious you will feel. And there are different things that you can do to relax yourself right now. And one of them is putting your attention in the present moment. That can be very relaxing, unless you've got like an emotion or some sort of like difficult energy coming up, then that will be very painful to do. So if you've got that, then emotional release might be better, but putting your attention in the present moment. But that cannot get you further ever to enlightenment. But it doesn't mean that you don't do it, because relaxing the person most probably means that this will be experienced more. Because when you're contracted, you're going to feel really narrow to the body, and you're going to feel very small. And when you're not contracted, when you're less contracted, then you're more in line with this, because there's not so much seeking there. So doing that is mostly going to relax your person, but it's not that person that's going to get to the freedom. So doing these things will relax the body mind, but it cannot get you more to freedom, because who would get more to freedom? This moment is free right now. The looking is free right now. The consciousness that I'm speaking to is free. It's the person that feels uncomfortable. So it's the contraction that's the issue. And there's so much wisdom out there as to how to relax your personhood. And it's different for everyone. It's not like one shoe fits all.
It feels like the follow-up question is begged, if you'll allow me, that because you keep saying like that won't get you any closer to it, right? Whatever I'm doing. Are you saying that there's nothing that I can do that's going to get me closer to it?
No, I'm saying there is no you that exists. So who could get closer to this? What would it be? Like, what would get closer to this? You already are this. It's just as a contraction making it feel like you're not. So I'm really not saying do or don't do. Wisdom most probably is doing things that are more healthy for the body mind and more in line with your unique body mind. Like, so that is wisdom. But there isn't an entity inside your body. There are thoughts and patterns and habits appearing that are seemingly moving in time, and that movement in time can never be this moment. So I'm not saying don't do things. I'm not saying like you can't do things or you to get here or not get enlightened. I'm saying who would be that person that would become enlightened? It's like
But if I wanted to imagine I was a person and I wanted to put my focus somewhere, it would be to start with looking at the contractions and what's causing the contractions.
What's causing the contractions? Yeah, like, so yeah, those types of things, but also things that relax the body mind as well. So emotional release. So yeah, you can intellectually look at it and then like feel it in the body, and then you can do exercises to relax it. There's all types of things, and it works different for everybody. Like for me, breathing exercises really work with emotional disbalance, but for other people it's like breathing exercises don't really do anything, and that like really relaxes my body mind, like doing breathing exercises. It's so different for everybody. Some people are really into yoga, some people like meditation, some people meditation is really hellish.
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. It's so lovely to see you both.
I also want to ask something now.
Yeah.
Apparently. So lately, I think for a while now, I'm looking at him because he might be a witness. I've been feeling a lot calmer, like at ease with whatever is here right now.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful and lovely, and I think I'm just curious as to whether, because there's also moments where I experience Iolani having reactions or excitement or thoughts that kind of connect to certain meanings, and they then cause reactions, but I can see they're just like conditioned things that will happen. And so my question is there a way for a human to ever live this life without the seeming filter of the human personality?
There's always going to be a filter of the human personality. So you always, like in this life that consciousness is experiencing through that body mind. But when you feel more like you feel more happy, you would say, a more balanced, I can't remember the words exactly that you used in the beginning, but you feel there's more ease, that's what you used. That to me, what's happening is there is less contraction, and so therefore less seeking. So, and when you feel more expanded, then you're more in line with your essence as everything. But it's always going to come through Alani, like Alani's filter, dependent on how she was brought up, she was conditioned, like all the information that's going to come in. And that's a celebration, like the uniqueness is a celebration. Like it's beautiful.
Yeah, because I think I used to, a long time ago, I used to think that there is going to be a point where so Yolani doesn't exist, but I thought there was going to be a point where Yolani would never appear again, if that makes sense.
So, yeah, totally. Where the character completely disappears. And that's not true, yeah.
And that you're going to like reach this moment and point where everything evaporates in a way, but it doesn't. It's so beautiful, and it's comes through habits that you've lived this life through. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like you can still have memories and remember things, but they don't own you.
Yeah, totally.
To own. But yeah, cool. Thank you. That was my question. That's a cool thing to hear also.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's great to see you.
yeah, really nice to see you. Yeah, lots of love.